for its management.
All right, folks, good afternoon and welcome to the Monday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show. Here it is, Monday the 14th, St. Patrick's Day week. Worcester brought back its St. Patrick's Day parade yesterday after a couple of years of it being canceled. I did not make it there, but I'm assuming it was a heck of a time. This is the Joe Mangiacotti Show from the Boxtrot Middlesex Mattress Outlet Studios. I'm Joe Mangiacotti. You can join the conversation at 508-871-7000. That's 508-871-7000. Anytime over the next hour. We're live streaming on the TuneIn app. And I'm also live streaming the show on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube channel, my LinkedIn page, and even Twitch TV. Go check it out. Joe Mangi Show for all of our social media platforms. Joe M Show and Twitch TV. And of course, YouTube channel, the Joe Mangiacotti Show, and LinkedIn is my name. We're streaming on the TuneIn app, so just punch in WCRN and you can take us anywhere. 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. Text line is up and running, which means you can text the show in real time at 617-297-8388. All right, Jazz is running the board. Hey, Jazz, how are you? I know your mic's not working the best right now as we replace some stuff, but good to see you. Yeah, it does nothing, but that's all good. All right, folks. So, first, obviously, the latest Russia and Ukraine diplomats, they're supposed to resume talks today, a day after Moscow focused its attacks on key military bases. I mean, just a few miles from the Polish border. So that's the question that we have to face today in the big picture of things, folks. When we look back, and assuming there's a future down the road for the planet, and we look back at this, what is it that we're going to say? We look back at World War II, the early beginning of World War II, at the monster Hitler and what he was doing, and he was Times Magazine Man of the Year, and he got credit for these things, but trains on time, that kind of thing. And the world didn't know everything that was going on, but a lot did. A lot did. And then as he started to take real estate that didn't belong to him and he justified it, the world stood by. So at what point do we decide that we aren't going to have another monster on the planet? He's been targeting civilian structures, hospitals, maternity wards. I mean, we're looking at this situation. It was just, I think, at the top of the news about the mother and the child. She's dead. The baby's dead. We saw a lot of footage of the pregnant lady being brought in alive, but they died in Mariupol. They were caught in a Russian airstrike that hit a children's hospital and maternity ward. Timur Marin was the surgeon who treated that woman. She told the AP, the baby was delivered by cesarean section but showed no signs of life. Stillborn baby. Marin said they began focusing on resuscitating the mother, whose pelvis was crushed, and the hip had even detached. And after 30 minutes of resuscitation attempts of the mother, it didn't produce any results. Now, the airstrike destroyed the maternity hospital, children's ward, therapy center. And after the attack, the woman was rushed to another hospital where doctors tried to keep her alive. The medics didn't get a chance to identify the woman, but her husband did show up. The father and husband. He came to take her body away and was heard saying, at least she will not lay to rest in a mass grave with thousands of other Ukrainians unmarked. At least mother and child will have a proper burial and lay in eternity together. That's something. The port city of Mariupol has been facing this humanitarian crisis after days of heavy Russian shelling. For days. Now, residents have been confined to freezing basements with no heat, no electricity, supplies of food and water running out, if not already gone. And Russia forces the Russian forces now have allowed some residents of Mariupol to evacuate today, but hundreds of thousands of people remain trapped in the city. So the quagmire that we're faced with, folks, is if he's in a situation, put into a situation, Putin that is, he won't hesitate to use nuclear options. Whether he eventually lands a missile into Poland or NATO grounds, or we do something to answer his aggression, and it's considered officially World War III, I think we're in World War III, then does it elevate to that? Are we the closest to nuclear war than we ever have been in the Cold War years? We in North America will lose if silos start. We will be hit the worst. We will lose a great deal of the population on the planet. It's not something that can be taken lightly here. Do we stop him? How do we stop him? I have no doubt that if Hitler, in those final hours in the bunker before him taking his life, if he had a button that could unleash the power of nuclear war, he would have taken half the planet with him. So what say you? How do we handle this? Do we pray that they revolt within Russia and they take out their own leader, replace him, arrest him? Do we let him take Ukraine and say we don't want to go there because will he be done? Moldova's next. And what happens when he wants to take a NATO nation? What happens at that point? So the talks begin, or the talks resume today, amidst the reports that Russia had reportedly sought weapons and economic help from China for Ukraine. That combination is very dangerous for the United States. Russia and China teaming up is not good for us. Russia had reportedly reached out to China to ask for military equipment and economic assistance to aid in its Ukraine invasion. Putin was sanction proofing himself prior to the invasion. He knew what was coming and he wanted protection before he got there. He wanted it. Russia sought out military equipment to press its attack. It's a bad situation for the United States with these two superpowers decide to come together. Now, Ukraine hopes the planned negotiations will pave the way for more civilians to evacuate. But it's not happening. Yesterday, 35 people were killed and 134 were wounded after Russia targeted the sprawling facility, Yavoriv, with more than 30 cruise missiles, 12 miles from the border. Hey, we have to take a break at 14 and a half minutes here on the Joe Mangiacotti Show from the Boxtrop Middlesex Mattress Outlet Studios. 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. That's 508-871-7000. We'll go to the phones on the other side of the break. Stick with us. We'll be back on the other side.
This is Find a Forever Home for Teddy's Friends, brought to you by Boxtrap Middlesex Mattress Outlet. Today's candidate is Scout. Scout is super smart and sweet. He's looking for an experienced dog family to call his own. This gorgeous guy is a mixed breed, yet his personality is true to a shepherd. Scout is so intelligent. He is food motivated and he loves to learn. He is excited about continuing his training with his new people. He also loves his enrichment activities that make him think. You can see how much he loves those puzzles on some of the pictures on Teddy Goodpup's Facebook page. Since Scout is big and jumpy, he is looking for a home with older teens or adults. He needs to be the only animal so he can be treated like a king. If you are looking for a sweet, smart, and active boy, Scout could be the one for you. For more on Scout, click Teddy Goodpup's Facebook page. Pictures and links to the Bay Path Humane Society where Scout is staying while he awaits his forever home. Find a Forever Home is brought to you by Boxtrap Middlesex Mattress Outlet. Click boxtrapmiddlesex.com.
If you enjoy listening to Full Service Radio AM 830 WCRN, don't forget you can stream WCRN on your computer or on your phone at WCRNradio.com and on your Amazon Alexa by saying, "Alexa, listen to WCRN." On the radio, in your car, on your computer or phone. We are Full Service Radio, AM 830 WCRN.
Hey folks, Joe Mangiacotti here, and I have recently purged and refreshed with new furniture and, most importantly, a new bed. We spend about a third of our life on our mattresses, and it's so vital we have the right one, and we don't break the bank to do that. I first bought a mattress from the big store the brothers used to own, and a power base that moved the head and feet, and then I met John, and I checked out his showroom at 50 Main Street in Ashland and online at boxdropmiddlesex.com, and ended up with a better mattress, a power base that also heats and massages, all for less than half of what I was going to spend at the other place. Boxdrop is a discount mattress store, and John specializes in clearance and closeouts, and he buys directly from the manufacturer with a low overhead and just family employees passing the savings on to you, and you can see it reflected in the price every day. Click boxdropmiddlesex.com or call John on his cell. This is his cell number, 508-579-9303. That's 508-579-9303. And you can find John on Facebook at Boxdrop Middlesex. John loves referrals, and this is the best referral I've given so far this year. Dropboxmiddlesex.com.
We know why you're awake. Your child is about to get their driver's license. Levante's Auto School offers 1-week driving programs to help make sure your child stays safe and focused behind the wheel.
877 Drive Ed. Who's Ed?
That's the number for Levante's Auto School.
Learn to drive safely and efficiently. Visit one of our 5 locations throughout Massachusetts. Click Levante'sAutoSchool.com.
Levante's Auto School shows you how to learn the rules and keep your cool. 877 Drive Ed.
Who's Ed? That's the number for Levante's Auto School.
You're listening to the Joe Mangiacotti Show on Powerhouse Station WCRN and our affiliates. To talk to Joe, dial
Cheryl
5.
Ann Gengel co-founded the Be Like Brit Foundation, founded to honor the memory of her daughter, Brittany Gengel, who died tragically in the 2010 earthquake in Haiti, along with approximately 300,000 others. To honor her life and her commitment to those less fortunate, the Be Like Brit Foundation works towards fulfilling their vision to raise the next generation of leaders in Haiti. Please take a moment to visit belikebrit.org to learn more about our mission and to see what your help has accomplished and will do in the future. Make a difference. Be like Brit.
You just may have the best podcast anywhere.
Blah, 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 blah.
But who knows it exists? Hello? Get your podcast to broadcast on radio. Create a podcast. Improve your podcast sound with professional production and editing. Record your podcast in a real radio studio. Visit podcasttobroadcast.org today. Get your podcast on the radio with podcasttobroadcast.org.
When you want a car and you need a break, you can save some cash. It's not too late. Just go to Mill Street Motors. It's where you want to go to now. It's where you want to go to. There's just no need for you to shop around. Mill Street Motors prices are the best in town. Go to Mill Street Motors. It's where you want to go to now.
Tired of salespeople trying to get you into a car that's not for you? Come to Mill Street Motors in Worcester, Massachusetts. Quality cars, great prices, financing, and no pressure. Mill Street Motors, 253 Mill Street in Worcester, or shop us online at millstreetmotors.com. Mill Street Motors.
On every car, there's super deal. There's no extra charge on the steering wheel. Just go to Mill Street Motors. It's where you want to go to now. It's where you want to go to. Mill Street Motors. It's where you want to go.
You're listening to the Joe Mangiacotti Show on Powerhouse Station WCRN and our affiliates. To talk to Joe, dial 508-871-7000, and you can text Joe on air in real time at 617-297-8388, or email textjoeontheradio@gmail.com. And now back to the most interesting man in the world. When he drives a car off a lot, the value goes up. Common sense talk for the common sense citizen.
All right, folks, welcome back to the second segment of the Monday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show from the Boxtrop Middlesex Mattress Outlet Studios. I'm Joe Mangiacotti. 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. That's 508-871-7000. Of course, text us at 617-297-8388. Well, according to the Gateway Pundit, folks, if you look at the numbers, inflation really started to rise almost exactly when Joe Biden came into the White House. And so did gas prices, and they had to do with policies. And you need to reject the script here that this is all Putin's fault, that gas prices are due to that war, that invasion, that inflation. This is all happening long before Putin made his move. And a lot of it has to do, and most of it actually has to do with the policies of this administration, or more importantly, the reversal of policies that existed, from stopping to build the border wall to the Keystone Pipeline. And Jen Psaki wants to tell you there are 7,000 or 9,000 leases. Lease is just that. It's an instrument to drill. What you have is an administration that has time after time shown itself to be anti-fossil fuel and will pull the rug out from these guys the moment it can, as soon as the political climate changes. And you're asking these venture capitalists and these businesses, and they are oil companies and drilling and all the layers that go into it, from the roughnecks to the equipment to the transportation to the geology work, to figuring out where it is. No guarantee oil will be where you drill to, by the way. And to get the billions invested in this and then pull the rug out from under, you need to have an administration that is not going to change the rules in the middle of the game. The attitude and policy has got to change. And yes, Jen, on news that the Keystone Pipeline will start to get going again and that drilling will be happening, will in fact immediately start to drop the price of oil, because they are a futures commodity. And you're always paying to replace what's in the ground, meaning the tanks at the gas stations and in the refineries, not what you've already paid for that's in them. What say you on inflation? 508-871-7000. Let's go to the phones. Mark in Worcester actually wants to talk about inflation. Mark, you look marvelous. What say you?
I don't feel marvelous. Well, look at what's going on in this country. It's unsustainable. All of it, top to bottom. It's unsustainable. I went online. I looked at the price of diesel fuel here in Worcester on Shrewsbury Street. $5.30 for a gallon of diesel fuel. So if you're running a big rig, you got a 100-gallon tank to port and a 100-gallon tank to starboard. That's 200 gallons. What's it going to cost you to fill that rig at $5.30 a gallon?
Yeah.
How much?
Look, these guys have got to drop $1,000 to fill their tanks, and some of them $1,800 to fill up these rigs, because some of these have 250-gallon rigs, by the way. So they're not
some
all
of them
just
300.
Pardon me?
Some of them are
300, right? Because these trucks are driving
a half on one side, $1.50 on the other.
Yeah, and these trucks, they plan on driving across the country, so they're not 22-gallon tanks, folks. They're hundreds and hundreds of gallons, and they fill up. And so where do you think that price is going? Right? He's not going to
going into the supermarket.
There you go. The operator of that truck can't reach in his pocket and pay the difference and take the food out of his child's mouth.
The consumer pays the difference. Not the
Ripple.
owner of the company.
Absolutely.
It's the consumer. That's me and you. So you can look at, I don't know, by the 4th of July, if we make it to the 4th of July with these knuckleheads we got running this country, how are you going to pay for, you want to have a barbecue out backyard, hot dogs, hamburgers, a couple of chickens cut up. What's it going to cost you?
Yeah, I have no idea. But it's going to cost you a hell of a lot more than it did last summer.
Yeah, no kidding.
So
A hell of a lot more. Now, I'll end with this. How does a person making $40,000 a year, right? How does a person making $40,000 a year pay his rent, pay his utilities, pay his cable, pay his phone, pay $5 very shortly for a gallon of gasoline? How in the hell is that person going to make ends meet?
something has got to give. Thank you, Mark. And I've always said this. The gas tax and the price of fuel is the most unfair expense and tax to the middle class, working class, because we do not have an option of not buying the gasoline. We have to go to work. We have to drive the 13 miles each way, the 33 miles each way. Whatever your commute is, you have it. You have to do it. And you have to go to the grocery store, and you may have to take the kids to football and dancing and practice or whatever. So you try to combine those trips, but you have to make those trips. You have to drive that car. So you have to buy the gas. It's not an option. So when the cost of the gas has gone from, you can get by in $75 a week, fill the tank, get what you need done. But now that $75 is now $120. And you multiply that out by the week for the month. Now you're talking a few $100s more a month that you have. No option. You didn't elect to buy something. You didn't elect to buy a second home or bought subscription to something for $200 or $250 a month. So whatever that is, that price, which means you got to look at your budget and something has got to go. And it may be that football, baseball, dancing, ballerina, summer camp, the cable package, maybe cable altogether. Whatever it is, something else has to go away because that gas price has gone up and you don't have a choice. It is the worst. So when Joe Biden says that no one under $400,000 is going to pay one more red cent in taxes, he's just either he knows he's lying or he just isn't getting it. He's too stupid to understand how the economy works. And how does a guy who spent almost 50 years in Congress, in the Senate, not get that? Maybe that's the answer. We've got a Congress loaded with people who this is what they have done. They haven't run businesses. They haven't made payrolls. They haven't lived on the average income for this country. Maybe Congress's salary should be based on the average income. Maybe we should take the median income of the country, but add 20%, nominal amount, or some fixed amount. We've got state legislators making over $100,000. We got to take a break at the bottom of the hour here on the Monday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show from the Boxstrap Middlesex Mattress Outlet Studio. So we'll do that. 508-871-7000 is how you join the conversation. We'll continue for the second half of the Monday edition on the other side. Don't forget, follow us on social media platforms at Joe Mangi Show. That's M-A-N-G-I, Joe Mangi Show. And we're live streaming on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube channel, LinkedIn, and even Twitch TV. Back in a moment.
I'm Ed Donahue. with an AP News Minute. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres says Ukraine is on fire.
The country is being decimated before the eyes of the world. The impact on civilians is reaching terrifying proportions.
No agreement was reached today during talks between Russia and Ukraine. Another meeting is scheduled for tomorrow. At least 3 deaths are being reported in the capital city, Kyiv, from Russian attacks. Alex Koncharenko is with the Ukrainian parliament. He says the city is protected.
We have dozens of thousands of people just in Kyiv, in Civic Guard. And if they will penetrate the city, we will make hell here for them. So they could not take Kyiv.
The Ukrainian government announced plans for a new humanitarian aid effort and evacuation corridors in Ukraine. And a top Red Cross official says the war has become nothing short of a nightmare for those living in besieged cities. I'm Ed Donahue.
I'm Joel Clark, a Select Quote agent, with a true story that could save you hundreds of dollars a year. A woman named Linda just called. Her husband, Ray, has a group life insurance policy, but is changing jobs and he can't take it with him. Well, I went to work and found Ray, who's 40 and takes medication to control his high blood pressure, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for only $19 a month. That's way more coverage for a lot less than what he was paying. SelectQuote didn't shop for your life insurance? You're probably paying too much.
For your free quote and to find out how much you can save, call 1-800-597-2010. That's 1-800-597-2010. 1-800-597-2010. Or go to selectquote.com. Since 1985, we shop, you save.
Get full details on the example policies at selectquote.com/commercials. Your premium could vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
Time now for the forecast from the Boston Independence Group Weather Center. Call Jerry Doherty today at 877-772-1776. Retirement is within reach.
Hey, I'm meteorologist Jason Brewer. Here's the latest Boston 25 weather on Radio 830 WCRN. Got plenty of sunshine out there. It's milder today. Highs around 50 degrees. Tonight, that warming trend continues. Lows will be holding in the mid to upper 30s. There'll be more clouds tomorrow, but we'll go ahead and warm on into the mid and upper 50s ahead of a weak front that could mean a few showers by tomorrow night. I'm Jason Brewer. You can hear Boston 25 live for the morning drive weekdays on AM 830 WCRN.
Another marvelous Monday in New England. I'm Ted A. Here are some historic facts that happened on March 14th. In 1644, England grants patent for Providence plantations, now known as Rhode Island. In 1743, the first American town meeting is held in Boston's Faneuil Hall. In 1794, Eli Whitney patents the cotton gin machine, revolutionizing the cotton industry. In 1900, U.S. currency goes to the gold standard after Congress passes the Currency Act. In 1923, Warren G. Harding becomes the first U.S. president to pay taxes. In 1950, the FBI begins the 10 Most Wanted Fugitive Program. And in 1993, OPEC cuts oil prices for the first time in 23 years. The WCRN News is brought to you by John the Roofer, a leader in the roofing and home improvements business for more than 70 years. Call 866-906-ROOF or go to the internet and see johntheroofer.com.
You're listening to the Joe Mangiacotti Show on Powerhouse Station WCRN and our affiliates. To talk to Joe, dial 508-871-7000, and you can text Joe on air in real time at 617-297-8388, or email textjoeontheradio@gmail.com. And now back to the most interesting man in the world. His tears cure cancer. Too bad he never cries. Common sense talk for the common sense citizen.
All right, folks, welcome back to the third segment of the Monday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show from the Boxtrop Middlesex Mattress Outlet Studios. I'm Joe Mangiacotti. 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. So continuing on the idea here of inflation, it is, in fact, Biden's issue. Even ABC's John Carl on Sunday shows was saying the same thing. He pushed back on the Democrat and the media complex talking points here that Joe Biden's policies led to high inflation and record gas prices. The media is in on it too, right? They're doing the work of the White House. But according to an ABC Lapso poll, 70% of Americans disapprove of Biden's handling of the gas prices. 70% of Americans disapprove of Biden's handling of inflation. Now, Biden has blamed high inflation rates on COVID, Putin, Wall Street bankers, even, remember, the meat companies. Now, you wanted to investigate price fixing in there because only a handful of companies control the food and the meat. The overwhelming majority of Americans just aren't buying Biden's lies. Now, Carl and other pundits on ABC on Sunday shows said Biden and the Democrats are to blame for high inflation and record gas prices. They literally started the day he took office, folks. Kyle goes on, he said, look, if you look at the numbers, inflation really started to rise almost exactly when Biden came into the White House. Look at the chart on gas prices since February. It is a shocking increase. We know that because we're living it. I use a quarter of a tank. I stop and I fill it up. Because I know if I go down to a quarter of a tank, it's going to be several more days and price of gas is going to be that much higher. It's rising that fast. We are at almost 8%, 7.9% inflation. And in the week that is announced, Congress passes another $1.5 trillion spending package, right? Now adding to the deficit in these first 5 months of the year. $3 billion a year. And debt service now consumes $1.2 million a minute, folks. Think about that. $1.2 million a minute. That's $20,000 per second. So stop. Stop the reckless spending. Where has spending ever got you out of financial trouble? When you either look at your bills or you and your spouse or significant other sit down, you look at your credit card balances, your budget and your spending, and you've got ridiculous balances on the cards, and you know that if you make the minimum payments, you'll never pay them off. You'll just pay interest for the rest of your life. And you look at all this, does either one of you look at the other and say, honey, you know what will really fix this? Let's buy a new car. Let's buy a second home. Let's really, jack up our monthly nut. That will fix it. Stop the spending and cut the bleeding, folks. This is all to another end. This is to crash the economy for a couple of reasons. It is to push, when the whole Green New Deal, it's not just, it's a guise, the whole climate, and we got to do green. It's a means to push us to the new world order, a world currency. But if we would go to a one government nation, is it going to be the United States government? No. It means we give up, and we've been giving up our freedoms in the Constitution since the 50s and 60s on a regular basis, folks. So that's not going to happen. And now our government's talking about going to this digital currency. It's the worst thing in the world. We don't want digital currency or only digital currency. Because if there's digital currency, this is how they can control us, right? They take away cash. You can't buy food. Period. A couple of clicks of a button, your card doesn't work, or the chip in your hand doesn't work. If they can control the food, if they can control medical, they control you, they control me, they control us. There's a lot of things going on here. And they're using these crises. We need massive world crises to get us to say, please, government, just make it stop, protect us, and stop the hurt. That's how this works. What say you? 508-871-7000. Let's go to John first. Current topics, Don. What is it that you'd like to talk about?
Well, everything you said about digital currency is 100% true, and the world economy is 100% true. I feel bad for the Russian young soldiers in their 20s and younger, and also the Ukrainians defending their lands. They're all pawns in a big game. Life means nothing to these politicians, including Joe Biden, who you can't convince me that he didn't have something arranged with Putin through Hunter Biden dealing with Ukraine and Russia for the last 3 or 4 years. I believe they had this all planned.
Do you believe that Joe Biden is just so compromised by the Chinese, the Ukrainians, the Russians, everybody, that there is so much on him and the son and the money they've been making that he has absolutely cannot, even if he wanted to, be the people's president, even if he wanted to be a patriot, even if he was a fraction of Donald Trump when it came to that, he just can't. He's owned lock, stock, and barrel.
And that's why they didn't like Trump, because he's not owned.
And they couldn't own him.
Trying to make this new world order, they couldn't do it with Trump.
And they thought he'd play ball. They thought if they brought him in the fold, explained to him, this is what's going to go on. It's been going on for a very long time.
Absolutely.
That he would get it.
Back prior to Obama.
Oh, beyond that, we're talking
prior the Clinton time and before that even.
Mm-hmm. Remember Bush 1? It was his words, a new world order.
That's right.
He was just regurgitating what has been going on for hundreds of years behind the scenes, the shadow government, the whole this is what we're going to work to. The great American experiment.
The Democrats against Republicans, and the media plays, so on and so forth. And they're all using everybody as pawns. They don't care about old people trying to pay their heating bills. They don't care about, everything you purchase, plastic Tupperware, stuff for your kitchen, your curtains, your bedding, everything is made with oil.
Yep.
Your roads, your vehicles, your furniture. There's nothing you can touch that's not made with oil, including glass. They have to use it, fossil fuels to produce it. Fossil fuels must be used because we can't go solar or anything right now. I just heard a story that the two things. I want to stay on this for a second. One of the senators was saying at a meeting, well, if people just bought electric cars,
oh Jesus,
it might, the price of gas hasn't bothered me. I've got a Tesla.
Yeah.
Well, not everybody can afford a 60,
well, that's
80,
a let them eat cake moment,
100,000 plus.
Right? Let them eat cake.
Not to mention the price of charging that.
Well, where do you think the electricity is coming from?
And they don't want nuclear in this country since 3 Mile Island, which was a joke. And although I did hear Gates is building 2 nuclear power plants in Colorado, which with molten salt cores instead of liquid cores. And so, I mean, you can't get away from fossil fuels. And even if they gave them 40 years to convert, they're still going to need internal combustion engines.
Mm-hmm.
The best thing is hydrogen fuel cells. There's other ways of doing it too, but they used back in the late 1800s, early 1900s, they had cars that ran on water, and that was hydrogen.
Yep, and they separated the hydrogen out of the water.
That's right.
And Brazil had some motorcycles running like that. Look, there are, you hear the folklore and the legends about, motors running on gas, but the oil companies buying them out, buying the patent or paying them to be quiet about it. There's a lot there going on. I believe that we've had far, advances in energy that has been kept under wraps for a long time. Just my personal belief. But John, I got to hold you there because I've got a break.
Believe
Guys,
you too. Can I hold over?
you can hold over, but we're going to have to make it quick too because I've got other calls. But I do have to take a break here. Guys, I don't control the clock. It is live radio. So I'm Joe Mangiacotti from the Box Shop Middlesex Mattress Outlet Studio. Stick with us. Back on the other side, folks. A wedding is a beautiful ceremony that honors the joining of two human hearts, and it is the most important day of your life. And if you'd like your wedding to be as memorable experience and a genuine reflection of who you are and one that your family and your guests will carry with them for the rest of their lives, I'd offer you to consider a Justice of the Peace. Justice Missy Margolis has been performing her duties for over 20 years for the sheer joy and pleasure of bringing other people happiness. Missy officiated my wedding ceremony. She will work with you to create the perfect wedding ceremony that reflects your traditions, beliefs, and culture while showing the world the beauty of who you are. I've personally known Missy for nearly 40 years, and whether you have a complex or a traditional wedding, a quick modern wedding, or a ceremony, Justice Missy Margolis will make it beautiful. Missy can also do vow renewals, remembrances, and ceremonies that include your children. She can perform a small, intimate ceremony to a large wedding any day of the week. Missy is truly a justice for all. And you can call Missy directly at 508-735-8999 or by email at justicemissyforyou@gmail.com. Justice Missy, number 4, letter U @gmail.com. And of course, you can click ajusticeforall.com. Again, justiceforall.com. Hi, I'm Joe Mangiacotti, and you probably recognize me from the radio, or at least my voice, maybe from this station you're listening to now. And if you don't know, over my 30-plus years on the air, I've been best known for the real estate, mortgage, and financial talk that I've done. And what you may not know is that I haven't just talked the talk, but I've walked the walk. You see, I've been a licensed real estate salesperson here in the Commonwealth since 1984. And my very first venture into talk radio in 1986 was actually a real estate talk show. So I just wanted to remind you, or maybe inform you, that if you're considering selling or purchasing a property or looking to invest in income-producing property, consider having a conversation. You won't just be tapping the 3+ decades of my experience with marketing, purchasing, investing, and even being a landlord, but that of the countless experts and professionals that I've had the privilege of interviewing, working with, and learning from. Think of the vast network and contacts you'd have access to. So before making a move, make a call. You can click joerealtors.com, find me on Facebook at Joe Realtors, or email me at cameoproperty@gmail.com, or just call direct to my cell, 508-969-1088. That's 508-969-1088, and listen to Heidi Sizza and myself on Handling Change. Hey folks, Joe Mangiacotti here, and I have recently purged and refreshed with new furniture and, most importantly, a new bed. We spend about a third of our life on our mattresses, and it's so vital we have the right one, and we don't break the bank to do that. I first bought a mattress from the big store the brothers used to own, and a power base that moved the head and feet, and then I met John, and I checked out his showroom at 50 Main Street in Ashland and online at boxdropmiddlesex.com, and ended up with a better mattress, a power base that also heats and massages, all for less than half of what I was going to spend at the other place. Boxdrop is a discount mattress store, and John specializes in clearance and closeouts, and he buys directly from the manufacturer with a low overhead and just family employees, passing the savings on to you, and you can see it reflected in the price every day. Click boxdropmiddlesex.com or call John on his cell. This is his cell number, 508-579-9303. That's 508-579-9303. And you can find John on Facebook at Boxdrop Middlesex. John loves referrals, and this is the best referral I've given so far this year. DropboxMiddlesex.com.
You're listening to the Joe Mangiacotti Show on Powerhouse Station WCRN and our affiliates. To talk to Joe, dial 508-871-7000, and you can text Joe on air in real time at 617-297-8388, or email textjoeontheradio@gmail.com. And now back to the most interesting man in the world. He brings a knife to a gunfight just to make the odds even. Common sense talk for the common sense citizen.
All right, folks, welcome back to the fourth and final segment of the Monday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show from the Boxdrop Middlesex Mattress Outlet Studios. I'm Joe Mangiacotti. 508-871-7000 to join the conversation, and our text line is 617-297-8388. We were talking with John before the break, and John, just go ahead and finish up what your thought is, because I do have other calls, and we can't push everything back. But
okay, real quick.
Sure.
The price of a barrel of crude November of 2020, before the election, was less than $40, and now it's close to 120. That's 3 times. Putin just asked the Chinese to help him in the Ukraine. with military help, troops. And it doesn't matter whether you're buying and burning oil from Russia, China, the Middle East, or America. Anybody that thinks that fossil fuels, it doesn't matter where you're,
Exactly.
where
It's
you're
one
burning
planet,
it from.
John.
Our oil is cleaner.
Mm-hmm.
So the footprint would be less if we're using our own oil.
Absolutely.
We're not dependent on other countries and not being held hostage. And I don't know why. Well, I know. I think I know why Joe Biden is doing this. It's the New World Order, and he doesn't care about the pain and suffering of America.
No, it's a means. It's something that he's willing to inflict the pain. And the left has said this, that they want gas at $7, $8, $9, $10 a gallon so that it's painful and it forces us to go to electric. Which, of course, where is the electricity coming from?
Same thing.
It's not a magical tree that pumps out kilowatts here. It's coming from a coal plant, or it's going to have to come from a nuclear plant.
It takes enough fossil fuels to make a lithium-ion battery for a car to drive a car 200,000 miles. And then you have to find a way to dispose of those batteries after
100%. John,
so it's actually setting us back.
It is. I've always said this. First of all, there's more crude oil under American soil for 200 generations. We couldn't use it. The key, I think, would be to continue to perfect the burning of fossil fuels, making it cleaner and cleaner and figuring out how to filter it and how to use it. Plus, the fact is, O2 is required if we want green plants and green trees and healthy forests and vegetation. We need to feed them with O2. So it's breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in oxygen, they bring carbohydrates.
And the thing about hydrogen, cars that run on hydrogen, it's a lot cheaper. I don't know why. Well, I know why they're not doing that. But the only emissions from hydrogen are water vapor and oxygen.
Yeah.
No pollution.
Yeah.
But they won't do that because it's not profitable and it doesn't fit their end game.
Nope. But John, good points. Great call. I don't know if you've ever called before, but
No.
I don't recognize. Thanks for listening and thanks for calling. Please call back. But I do have to hold you there.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. All right, folks, 508-871-7000. We're going to go to Ken and Bolton. And just before I forget, because this is a bigger conversation, you know, this last census that we took tons of money was spent this last time around. And before we went to the actual census, the year before, we sent census workers out to go to the front door of every address in the United States with a device, and they took the GPS coordinates. Now, why did they do that? Obviously, they have the street address. Otherwise, the census taker couldn't got to the front door in the first place, right? So why did we want to record and Google have the record of the GPS of the front door of every address in the United States? To pinpoint it? I don't know. I ask you, what say you? What have we pinpointed with GPS coordinates before? Missiles? We landed them into the front door of a wedding and claimed we didn't know it was a wedding. So what is that about? In the national ID, we have countries that are going to national IDs that have the RFID chips in them. This means you could be tracked just like in China. They can be read anywhere and everywhere, and it can track you and know exactly what you're doing. The Big Brother concept that George Orwell had in 1984 is a joke compared to what is actually reality today. Anyway, 508-871-7000, Ken and Bolton. It's been waiting patiently, Ken. Thank you very much. You wanted to talk about the deficit, I say.
Yes, Joe. Happy Pi Day. And day before Ides of March.
Wait, Pi Day?
Yes, 3.14.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I get it. Actually, I don't know if you ever seen the logo for my detective agency, but it's the pi symbol in a magnifying glass. And some people get it, right? They get it 3-point pi, but it's PI. But sometimes some people don't understand the logo, but that's what's in my logo.
Yeah, and also the Ides of March is tomorrow. We can only hope that's significant.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
anyway,
that will
I
be a
wanted to
tough day
get
tomorrow.
to the deficit and what that's rolled up to into the years, namely our debt, which happens to be $30 trillion. And we're running about a 10% inflation rate. And in normal times, interest rates are higher than whatever the inflation rate going is. So apply 10%, if that were our debt carrying rate, to 30 trillion. What do you get? You get about 3 trillion.
Yeah.
Just of interest expenses.
We can't pay our debt off, folks.
Guess what our revenue was last year? Oh, about 3.5 trillion. Let's see. That's about 80+% of the entire budget. Hello, America.
Yeah.
Wake up.
I don't understand how people in the government do math, because it's not the math that we do in our home budgets. It's not the math that we do when we balance our checkbooks. It's not the math we do on a daily basis. It's crazy. Again, I don't get it. Spending ourselves again. So the issue isn't spending it out. There's the ulterior motive here, and it's got to be to crash the financial system of the United States. What else could it be?
I can't answer. And the sad thing is, okay, they do a supplemental. All right, we want to send more money to Ukraine. How much do you think is going to Ukraine? Just for starters. And do you remember the days when you had offsets? When you said, okay, we're going to spend more here, but we have to offset it.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we've forgotten all about that, haven't we?
Yeah, there's no offset anymore. And that's just another way of saying that we're balancing this. If we've got to spend money here, then we've got to take money from over there. Now, we have some members of Congress who are still neophytes, and they're fresh enough, and they go and they propose bills and they say, how about we start with a 5% reduction across the board in every department, except, of course, the military and Social Security. Now, Social Security is actually an endowment and is not supposed to be a taxpayer thing. And what screwed up Social Security is mixing SSI and other, quote, entitlements into that fund. If they had left the fund alone and didn't borrow against it and threw other stuff in it, it would still be healthy enough to be paying off everybody's Social Security. But government can't help themselves, right? They've bastardized the Social Security. But if we cut right across every department in the federal government, 5% would be a good start. At least it would be.
Joe, do you remember the penny plan?
That's ringing a bell. What was the penny?
The penny plan was, you're saying 5%.
Yeah.
That's way too ambitious. The penny plan was just saying 1%. They just cut everything 1%. You know who made that proposal? A Congressman Penny from Minnesota, who was a Democrat.
Yeah.
And just think what the squad would be tearing him apart.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's time for somebody, and I thought we were supposed to have the adult in the room. Well, it's time for that adult in the room to pull the fatherly figure and say, squad, stop, shut up, or you're going to go to your room. Time for you to be quiet. We heard what you want. We hear you, but it's time for the adults to talk, because we have a big situation here, a dangerous situation, and you kids need to shut up while the adults talk. And that's what he needs to do.
But you know what's Joe's response to that would be? Come on.
Come on, man. I did that. I wrote the bill. Oh, that's so creepy, man. It is just so creepy. But we're coming up against the clock. I can't control it. It is what it is, folks. Ken, thank you for the call. I'll be back Thursday morning for Political Thursday with Jerry Doherty. Friday, of course, at 1 o'clock. Joe Mangiacotti on the bookend the weekends, Fridays and Mondays at 1. Still Sundays at 6 a.m. Mike Wade, Peter Blute, the Sunday morning talk block. Nice and solid, folks. Enjoy the rest of your day, please. And I'll see you on the radio. Joe out.
This is Full Service Radio, AM 830, WCRN, Worcester, Metro West.
AP News. I'm Ed Donahue. As Russian forces continue to pound cities in Ukraine, international organizations are pleading for the war to end. The AP's Sagar Magani has the story.
From the UN,
Ukraine is on fire.
And the International Committee of the Red Cross.
Nothing short of a nightmare.
Secretary General Antonio Guterres and Director General Robert Mardini.
The country is being